Welcome to the Overcome Pornography for Good podcast, where we take a research-based, trauma-informed, and results-focused approach to quitting porn. This approach has been revolutionary and changed thousands and thousands of lives. I'm your host, Sarah Brewer. Hey everyone, welcome to today's podcast episode. Today I am sharing a class that I did in the free community a couple weeks back called How Healing Shame Can Expedite Your Journey to Quitting Porn. Please enjoy this class and know that all of us here at the Center for Overcoming Pornography are truly rooting for you and wishing you the very best and are always here to support you. So, if you haven't come and considered working with us more in depth and you're ready to really kick this in the pants and be done with pornography for good, we'd love to help you and support you. All right, you guys enjoyed this recording. You might have heard these things. Let me know if this resonates with you. To quit porn, you just need more accountability. Just replace it with something else. Just be stronger. Let me remind you how evil porn is for the world. Use filters. Quit cold turkey. Pray more. Sexual thoughts are bad, right? All these things that people try to use to help you quit porn, and they don't actually work. These are Band-Aid solutions. And so 12-step programs, addiction recovery, Sexaholics Anonymous, filters, willpower do not work, do not show to be effective long-term for most people. And so if that's you, it's not because there's something wrong with you. It's because you've been trying to fix the refrigerator with the manual for the microwave. You've just been given wrong information that doesn't apply to you in your situation, okay? The real problem is that we have to look under the surface and to heal what's underneath the surface. And so I wish I had a picture up here. I used to have one of like a weed, and when you're weeding, and if you just pull the weed off like at the top, at the dirt, and then it's going to grow back because you didn't pull it up by its root. That's what we need to do. Instead of these Band-Aid solutions, we need to heal from the root and like pull this up from the root. Or this picture of the iceberg is a really great one too, is we need to, it's really not about porn. Your porn habit is not about porn. Your unwanted porn use is not about porn. It's not about like you're just like sex too much or you just like porn too much. There's a lot of stuff going on underneath the surface. And so that's what we want to look at. And that's, the goal with all the work and all the programs that we do is helping you individually discover what that is and heal that. And then guess what? The unwanted porn use goes away. And then guess what? It's not a problem for the rest of your life. And it's not something that you're worried about and struggling with. And, our clients see so much success because we're doing this, because we're looking underneath the iceberg here and really solving what's going on. So it could be buffering. We're going to talk about that a little bit tonight. Sexual shame, willpower, repression, could be shame spirals, be over desire, like AKA witching hours. This is a typo, AKA, or like compulsions that we need to work through. It could be loneliness, negative beliefs about yourself, fear, porn panic, shame, lack of education, fear, stress around intimacy. We are going to hit shame hard on the head tonight and really dive into this aspect of it all. And this shame piece, it really it tends to be underneath a lot of these under the iceberg issues. Okay, so let's dive into this. So number one, buffering and shame spirals. So first things first is porn is a buffer. But porn is a buffer. A buffer is any action that we take to escape negative emotion. So buffering can be all sorts of things. What do you do to escape negative emotion? Overeating, over drinking, scrolling social media, binging Netflix, over shopping, video games, and porn. Guess what? Unwanted porn use is often a buffer. It's a way that we escape negative emotion. Porn is often a way we escape feeling like garbage, except for what do we know about it? It doesn't work for long. It doesn't work for long. That's why you're here. And so what often happens is we get into these shame cycles, these shame spirals, where if we're starting up here on the top, you view porn, and then once you view porn, like all those thoughts and beliefs are coming into your mind about what you've been told about people who view porn, and you're thinking, there's something wrong with me. I'm gross. I'm dirty. I shouldn't be doing this. I'm a bad person. I'm, all these things. There's something wrong with me. That leads to feeling shame. When we feel shame, and we learn this from Brene Brown, the queen of vulnerability and shame, we hide and avoid. Feeling shame causes us to go and hide and avoid. So if you notice, maybe you're stuck in a shame spiral and then you're not talking to anyone, or you're avoiding other people and you just want to be alone and you just want to isolate. Maybe you don't want to pray if you're religious. You're going to hide and avoid God. And then what do we do when we're hiding and avoiding? Typically buffer with more porn. Now really think about this, you guys. If porn is a way that we escape negative emotion, And shame, think about the emotion of shame. It is like the lowest of the low emotion that just feels awful. So if we use porn to escape negative emotion and we're stuck in shame, what are we going to do to escape shame? Probably buffer with more porn. And the spiral continues and continues and continues. Okay, so shame creates more unwanted pornography use. So a lot of people, programs, they use subtle shaming attempts to help you quit porn. They think, if I just make this person feel bad enough for what they're doing, they will quit. That doesn't work and often has the opposite effect. Okay, so once you heal shame, you can see big improvements quickly. And I see this all the time with my clients. And in fact, I just did another interview. We do success stories, what's possible interviews, and you'll hear me quote these throughout the class tonight, but we do them often. And I just did one last week with an awesome guy. And that was his big thing too. Again, is he's like, I just did some one-on-one coaching for 3 months, healed shame, and it's gone. What? And it's gone. Like, it's such a big thing, especially because for so many people, this is like the spiral that we get sucked into, is the shame cycle. And so once we can get rid of this, we can get rid of binging, and then we can get rid of viewing porn because we don't like ourselves. And then it's a lot easier to work through some of the other stuff. Okay, so here's a story of Dan. You can hear his story on episode 158. He was in his mid-50s, struggled for 4 decades, had a very difficult disclosure to his wife. And that's when he came and started working with us after this awful disclosure where his wife, and he had a significant turnaround, even just after healing the shame. He said this part: living a secret life using willpower and talking negatively to myself with shame. I was not going to ever overcome porn doing that. This changed my life, just the way of looking at it, the way of thinking, everything. A shame-free and mindful practice changed everything for me. And mind you too, this was a guy who, he was a part of all of the church programs for his individual, I can't remember what church he was part of, but they have, all the churches have all the different things to help you with this. And he'd been a part of it for years and had tried all the things for years and kind of secretly, tried to fix this. And the shame-free mindful practice is what changed everything for him. I cannot think of a better investment of money, and really even a better investment of time. So concept number 2 is emotional fuel. I want you to think of your feelings like fuel for action. Let's give an example here. I want you to imagine running a marathon. Has anyone here run a marathon before? I have a lot of clients who have done like the Ironmans, and what are those, the big ultra marathons. I would love for y'all to hear Koji's story. I interviewed him on the podcast too, but you can watch a video of his. He struggled with porn, and he thought to himself, if I can just learn how to run an Ironman, then my porn habit will go away. And he did it, and he became like a really great ultra marathon runner, and the porn habit didn't go away. And unfortunately, not unfortunately, it makes sense. There were just other things we had to work through. But okay, anyways, back to this example, running a marathon off of only Coke Zero and Twizzlers and popcorn, right? Food that's not going to fuel your body. Imagine trying to run a marathon off of that fuel versus running a marathon off of protein, carbs, electrolytes, all those good foods that are going to fuel your body. You're going to be able to make it a lot further, a lot stronger, a lot faster with the right food rather than Coke Zero, Twizzlers, whatever. So I want you to think, if our emotions are our fuel, imagine trying to quit porn from a place of, I'm not good enough until I quit. This is too difficult, where the energy is fear and shame and inadequacy. I'm not good enough energy, versus trying to quit porn from a place of hope, commitment, belief, and worthiness. Which one is going to get you further? Which one's going to get you better results? This other fuel. Willpower and burnout happen when you take action without adequate feelings that are going to help you get where you want to be. And I do a whole other class on willpower. That's a whole other topic that you might have learned about a bit already in this free program you're in. One reason we get stuck in willpower is because we're trying to take action, but the fuel behind our action doesn't quite line up. Emotion here is key. You cannot keep sustained action with emotion that is bad fuel. So some more examples. Imagine trying to get into a good workout routine from a place of disgust versus a place of appreciation. A lot of people try to get into a good workout routine because they don't like their bodies and they want to change their bodies. And it's shamey, right? And typically burnout versus getting into a workout routine from a place of appreciation. And I'm not trying to, I just want to. I love this body. I want to fuel it. I want to take care of it. Not I'm disgusted in it. There's going to be a big difference in the results that you see. Imagine trying to study from a place of hopelessness, studying for a test from a place of hopelessness versus a place of hope. What's going to get you further? The place of hope. Being a parent and a spouse from a place of resentment versus boundaries and love. What's going to get you further and get you better results? The boundaries and love, not resentment. So changing your fuel, the fuel behind your actions, can create lasting change very quickly. And this is from my podcast episode with Cannon. He said, I'd struggled for like 8 or 9 years and I honestly wasn't really getting any closer. So to be completely free in a few months is way faster than anything I could ever find. And that was after his process of just changing the fuel that he was putting behind his actions. There's a lot of tools to learn to quit porn, like the mindfulness tools, the belief plan stuff, the emotions and buffering, but changing the fuel that you're using is going to be the most important thing and help you get where you want to go a lot quicker. Okay, concept number 3, healing sexual shame equals no more compulsions for porn. How do we decrease compulsions? For those of you who came to the last class I taught a couple of weeks ago, we went into this in depth, but here's the basic idea. We learned this from Pavlov and his dog. So basic psychology experiment, Pavlov had dogs and he would ring a bell and give him a treat and ring a bell and give him a treat and ring a bell and give him a treat. And then what happened after a while is the dogs heard the bell and salivated just at the sound of the bell without even seeing the treat. They associated that sound of the bell with the treat, so they just would salivate. We have our own bells and triggers when it comes to pornography that create this response in us to just desire porn. So not one great part of this experiment that we don't often hear is not only was Pavlov able to train his brains to salivate at the sound of the bell, but he was able to teach them how to stop salivating at the sound of the bell. And it's very simple, but hard in practice sometimes. All he did is he rang the bell and didn't give him the treat. Rang the bell and didn't give him the treat. Rang the bell and didn't give him the treat. And then eventually, after enough time, the dogs would hear the bell and not salivate at the sound of the bell because they were deconditioned to that response. Okay? Does that make sense? So we can do the same things with our compulsions for pornography. Here are the key takeaways though. Number 1, you don't have to struggle with urges for porn forever. I know you've been taught that this is just something you have to struggle with forever. Sorry, you're always going to have compulsions for porn. Once an addict, always an addict is false. It's false. It's been proven over and over again in our program and in the research that we use to back up our program as well. And you can find that on our website if you're interested in reading more about that. So that's key number 1. Key number 2 is it's a mistake to focus on avoiding urges. What would happen if Pavlov just didn't ring the bell for 2 years? He would ring the bell and then the dogs would still salivate, even if it'd been 2 years since they heard the bell, because they would still associate that sound with the response. So a lot of what people try to do is they try to just avoid the urges. I'm not going to think about the urge. I'm not going to look at the urge. I'm going to avoid my phone. I'm going to avoid my computer, blockers, make it go away, make it away, make it go away. This is when you get stuck in that willpower react cycle. So instead, we want to focus on training the brain out of desire, which is hearing that bell and not getting the reward, instead of just avoiding urges at all costs. So that's a simple way to explain how this works. What keeps people from doing this? Number 1 is practice, because this skill of hearing the bell and not getting the reward, right? With our bodies, we're both the dog and the scientist. So we have to learn how to do this. And it's a skill, there's mindfulness skills that we really teach and work on in the program. So number 1, practice. But the second biggest thing that keeps people from doing this is sexual shame, which is not allowing themselves to hear the bell, not allowing themselves to have that urge in the first place. So that looks like, oh no, I'm having this urge. That's bad. I shouldn't feel this. I feel shame for having the urge in the first place. I have this compulsion, this desire, and I feel bad for it. How many of you have felt that before, or feel it, notice yourself experiencing that? This is a really key piece. Is it's really difficult to go through this process while having sexual shame. So sexual shame looks like wanting porn is bad. This urge for pornography is bad. And stay with me. If you're confused on this, just stay with me for a minute. What this does is it actually gives porn more power than it really has. A great example I love to use on this is demonizing sugar. And so thinking about someone who, imagine someone's like, oh no, wanting sugar is bad. I should not want sugar. I am a bad person for wanting sugar, I feel shame. There is something wrong with me because I want sugar. What's going to happen? Well, they're going to push it away and then probably go binge eat cake in the closet and then feel really bad about it afterwards and get stuck in like a binge cycle. Demonizing sugar gives the sugar much more power than it actually has. It's like when we demonize something and we say that the experience or the wanting of it is bad, it actually makes it like bigger and more powerful than it really is. And so I know a lot of us get stuck on this with pornography. And I'm going to skip over here for just a minute and then we'll come back. But there's a difference between physiology versus morality. So physiology are normal, natural body responses. Sexual urges, hunger, tired. It's just the urge. Can't control it. We just want this, especially if you've subconsciously trained yourself to really, want a lot of porn or have compulsions for porn. It's not something you can control. It's just a physiological response that you trained your brain to do, like Pavlov's dogs. Morality is what we do with those responses based off of our value system. And so it's really important. I wish I could hold you all by the shoulders. It's really important that we do not mistake morality with physiological symptoms. It is not immoral to have an urge to want the porn. The morality is going to come with your value system based off of the actions with those responses. If you're hungry, right? Hunger is not a sin. Hunger is not bad, immoral. What you do with that hunger, you've got options. You can do a number of things. You can go grab some food. You can eat out of your fridge or you can eat your neighbor's food, right? There's a bunch of options there. Morality is what we do with those responses and if they're harming other people or not. So when we have sexual shame and the feelings around it is this is bad, push it away, what happens? It's like pushing a beach ball underwater. And when we push a beach ball underwater, what does it want to do? This is just me illustrating this idea again, coming back that when we demonize things and we push things away and push things down, it makes them stronger. When we hold that urge down, oh no, I shouldn't be thinking about it, I shouldn't want it, right? What happens? Just explodes. Same with any emotion. I have a very vivid and clear memory of just having a baby and it was postpartum a couple of months and the postpartum is hard. I had so much emotion. And have you heard postpartum rage? It's like when you're just so mad at everything. And what would happen is I would start to feel this anger and I would push it away. I can't be mad. I can't be mad. I can't be mad. I can't be mad. And then it would just explode. It would explode. Okay, so we don't want to do that. When we push, that away, sexual shame, hold it down as a beach ball. No, I shouldn't be thinking this. It puts us into this willpower give-in pendulum, right? You can only hold it down for so long before you just explode and you give into it. So instead, what we need to do is we need to learn this new skill of allowing urges, which is hearing the bell and not getting the reward. Hearing the bell and not getting the reward. With anger, it's letting myself feel anger without yelling at people, without hurting people. Allowing myself to experience the emotion so that it makes its way through my body without hurting others. And so it's the same with urges, allowing ourselves to experience and feel the urge without looking at the pornography. And so this allows us to rewrite neural pathways and decrease compulsions for porn, like Pavlov's dogs. There's physiology, which are normal, natural body responses, and morality. Morality is what you do with those responses. Morality is not the normal, natural urge itself. The urge itself is neutral. What we do with that is where morality comes into play. And there's a ton of things we could, talk about that for 2 hours and ways to think about that in a way that's going to help you and not just make you feel bad. And so much to go into there, but let's start here. Let's go into our last step. So how to heal shame. Shame comes from deeply ingrained stories and traumas. So shame, you were not just born with shame. Shame comes from things that you were taught about yourself. And so a great exercise I always have my clients do is, what were you taught about sex and porn growing up? And, in your families, in your churches, in your communities, all these areas, what were you taught about sex and porn growing up? And then as we look at that, we can start to see how these ingrained stories, created our own shame stories and shame responses today. Okay, so your wounds are not your fault. Your shame stories are not your fault, but your wounds are your responsibility to heal. And, I always say this because I really want people to avoid falling into the trap of blaming themselves for being stuck in a shame spiral or blaming themselves for feeling bad. It's just not helpful and not true. And when I say your responsibility, it's your responsibility because you are the only one who can make it happen. If you don't take this into your own power to heal these, it's not going to happen without you deciding to work through it. So worthiness wounds and these shame wounds are not a small nick that can just be healed with a Band-Aid. They typically take time, support, and more intensive care. And so I share this because I don't want you to feel bad if it's not working right away. If you find yourself falling into these shame stories often, or if it feels overwhelming and big, it's okay. It's not something that can just be healed with a little Band-Aid. It's typically like more of a wound that needs more time, support, and more intensive care. Okay, so don't be afraid of investing in help in this area with someone that you can trust. That piece is really important. With someone that you trust, with someone that you feel like is really going to be able to help you, it's worth researching and looking into investing in help here, because what can often happen, it's if you've got these deep gashes and these deep shame worthiness wounds, you're trying to heal it. It's like using a hand mirror to do surgery on yourself. It's difficult, it's hard, it's not very effective, versus having someone, who can really help you and see the things, go in and do the work with you and for you, and, can be a lot more effective and a lot cleaner. So if you notice a broken bone, you go and you get professional help. What happens if you just wait around hoping that it heals yourself? Right? If you have a broken bone and just sit around hoping it heals itself, what happens? It doesn't heal itself, and sometimes it gets even worse. And so I bring this up because, especially for men, and a lot of you are men here, it's like there's some taboo against going and working through these deep emotional pains. If you think about going and getting help, sometimes there's taboo around it, or beliefs that you shouldn't have to, or beliefs that you should just be able to do it yourself. And if you can't, if you haven't been able to, you're normal, and that's most people, and there's nothing wrong with you. And I want us to think about this like just as seriously as we take these physical wounds, these emotional wounds are just as serious, if not more serious, because it creates so much more results in your life. Like your wounding, it plays out in your relationships, it plays out in your, in your work life, every single area of your life. It's very important to take them just as seriously as you might a physical wound. And I share this slide to let you know that when I say this, I mean it, and I've done this, and I walk the walk, right? So investing in my brain and changing my beliefs and this healing work has been the most valuable thing that I've ever done. I've spent over 37K in coach trainings, over 12K in trauma healing certifications. This is out of date too. This slide is a little bit out of date. It's a bit more than this too. And then every year I spend, $1,700 to $15,000 in different therapies and healings. And it's just so important to me. And it's given me everything that I've wanted in life, has been changing and healing this, which goes back to this slide. Change does not come from working harder. This is something I would love to change in this space too. A lot of people think, well, just to quit porn, I just have to work harder. I just have to be more intense, right? It's like running a marathon on a broken bone. Change comes from deep inner belief work and healing. And so again, back to our main topic for tonight is, how can healing shame streamline your journey to quit porn? It's this. It's now, instead of just trying to change by working harder, running a marathon on a broken bone, it's not going to get you very far. It's just going to, make you more defeated. And I know a lot of you have been stuck in that, where you haven't healed the shame and you've tried to quit porn. You haven't even really been able to look under the surface. It's not your fault. You haven't been given the tools. You haven't looked under the surface. And so you're just trying to quit porn, just trying to quit porn, just trying to quit porn. And you're ruining your relationship with yourself because you can't do it, or because you keep giving into it and you're talking bad about yourself to yourself. And so it's just hurting and hurting and hurting, running a marathon on a broken bone, versus healing, which sometimes feels like a little bit slower, or like if you're not only focused on the porn use, and you come in the program and we're doing coaching with you, and we're not just talking about porn, we're talking about these other wounds, right? That's going to get you a lot further and a lot easier and a lot healthier. Okay. This is from my client James in episode 122. You can hear him say, just working on and coaching through a couple of those beliefs, just doing a couple of those beliefs, the doors opened and the weight of it all dropped very quickly. And I was able to see the results that I want. Again, like if we're just, it's kind of the 80-20 rule too, where, if we focus on the 20% of most important things, we'll see 80% of the results. And so, let's focus on those 20% of the most important beliefs and things to heal, and you'll see very quick results, see 80% of the results. For my client Tyler, this is working miracles for me, and I don't say that lightly. I find myself wanting porn less and less because I'm learning how to change my thoughts about it. I'm really starting to believe for the first time in my life that I can live porn-free. And you can. This doesn't just have to be something you struggle with forever. I was talking to one of my coaches, Jessica, today, who is an amazing coach. You guys are going to love her if you meet her. And she was talking to me about a conversation she had with someone who found out what she did. And they said to her, does it work? But wait, does it really work? Can people really quit porn? And she's like, yes, it works all the time. What do you mean? And she's like, but I understand it because so much of the narrative around it is, sorry, this is just who you are. Sorry, someone's struggling with porn. It's what they're struggling with forever. And that's just not true. It's just not true.
I want to invite you to come and listen to my free class, How to Overcome Pornography for Good Without Using Willpower. We talk about how to stop giving into urges without pure willpower or relying on phone filters so that you can actually stop wanting pornography. We talk about how to stop giving up after a few weeks or months, and spoiler alert, the answer isn't have more willpower. And then lastly, we talk about how to make a life without porn easily sustainable and permanent. If you're trying to quit porn, this class is a game changer. So you can go and sign up at sarahbrewer.com/masterclass, and it is totally free.